stuff has happened and will happen. We're here today with day number 2. Not normally Fridays are day number 1, but today, this week, it is in fact going to be day number 2 of round 7 of the World Team League. I'm of course your host Yaku of Dizaku, and with me today is Donde está la biblioteca? May motivo en la araña discoteca. Light _ VIP. How are we doing, Light?
The panic intro, let's go. What's up, Yaku? It's great to be back. As you said, we're here with World Team League. Day 1 was yesterday, and today is day number 2. We're just easing our way into the week here. I mean, we have a banger of a match already. Team Liquid versus BASILISK. Oh my god, some of the stronger teams in the league. And for the second time this season, Serral has made his appearance.
Indeed, he's going to be showing up a little bit later down the line. Going to be the ace player of Team BASILISK plus ShoWTimE. But before all that, we're going to kick things off with a fairly unique PvP. I'm going to imagine what I wasn't expecting, or what I wasn't imagining at all. Is SKillous actually coming out here with the higher elo than ShoWTimE?
Yes, SKillous has been performing very well these past couple of months in offline events, in weekly events as well. Most recently, SKillous did take down ShoWTimE 2-1 2 days ago in Kung Fu Cup. In the KFC Weekly, SKillous brought down ShoWTimE. Likewise, they even faced off at Home Story Cup in the playoffs. It went to the ace match, went all the way to Game 5. ShoWTimE did win at Home Story Cup, so they've been quite back and forth.
Yeah, and we'll see how that back and forth goes as we learn into that. Bottom left. Bottom left, it was a blue Protoss player for Team Liquid, SKillous.
And in the top right, we have ShoWTimE for BASILISK. Did you forget to intro in your intro? Like what? You're like, he's in the bottom left. He is. Yeah. Okay. Let's go.
I couldn't keep track of color or name.
So good.
So then they panned away for a sec to show the transition or whatever,
That is my biggest complaint for the we love WTL, we love SE Boy, but they don't flip names whenever like a player's on the bottom or the top. So looking over at the names doesn't always help either. Like it can be a little bit confusing at times. But regardless, we're here. We have Team Liquid versus BASILISK. I believe predictions have already opened and closed in the chat. So best of luck to those that did predict. And it's going to be a hard one. Again, we did mention that both SKillous and ShoWTimE are pretty close in skill. They're like number 3 and number 2 interchangeably in Europe, or I would say ShoWTimE mostly number 2 in Europe when it comes to Protoss players, but SKillous has been on the rise as of late.
Yeah, SKillous, I mean, he has been having a pretty good year for himself here in 2024 already. Had a really good start, making it all the way to the semifinals. Yeah. In Stars Wars 11, had a really good showing against players like Oliveira, against Gumiho, against
Hero.
I guess not Gumiho now that I think about it, but Hero as well. Went all the way to ace match all of them. Like you mentioned, just recently in Home Story Cup, he was only defeated by ShoWTimE, who himself was on a little bit of a roll that particular week. It went all the way to the ace match there. Just ShoWTimE, from what little I was able to glean in Home Story Cup, was also pretty much dominating in the finals as well, until he wasn't.
Smurge, papi, smurge.
I mean, he was looking very solid in most of the games that he was playing in there, even the ones that he lost. It just, I think after game 3 or game number 4, I think Gumiho kind of figured out, something clicked for Gumiho, and he thought, oh, this is what I should do now.
Yeah, he adjusted. He did adjust his playstyle over the course of the series and was able to come out on top in the end. But, we have a different matchup here. We have a PvP between SKillous and ShoWTimE. It's going to be a best of 2 for those who are curious, and we'll see how this does turn out. For the time being, we have entered some more economic, some more standard openers, I should emphasize. 2-gate openers all around. We're expanding as well. We're getting into our tech. Nothing crazy for the time being, but again, I have been looking forward to this matchup. Not just these two players, but these two teams all week.
Oh, yeah. Looking at the current score, both of them are neck and neck. Team Liquid having a slight point advantage over BASILISK, but of course, in terms of series wins, both of them are even. The winner of this is pretty much, since we are starting to get towards the tail end, or starting to get towards the last couple of weeks here in the group stage, I think the winner of this particular series is going to be pretty much a shoo-in for the playoffs.
Yeah, again, it's going to be close, and it's going to be a big win for either team here this week, so a lot is on the line, as you mentioned, as the round-robin group stage is coming to an end. For now, Blink is on the way for both SKillous and ShoWTimE. Twilight Councils were thrown down, and right now, both players are just scouting each other, scouring the map, trying to get a read on each other. Something we should emphasize as well is that we're on Dynasty. Both players have avoided the gold bases. It is considered unsafe to take the gold base early on in the PvP, but we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, eventually. We are also on Dynasty, which, fun fact for the viewers at home, is the reason why I rushed through our intros earlier.
Do I want to know the conclusion of that game? Do I want to know what happens?
Well, I won it.
Oh, let's go! Let's go, Poppy.
Let's go.
Let's go. GG.
It was a TBT.
For those that are curious, before an hour before the stream, or to be fair, even before that, Yaku was laddering right before we casted, and he was streaming in our Discord server. I
remember at about 45 minutes to about half an hour before the stream starts, you were like, "So you think you're gonna do one more?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got time." I did.
That was a TBT
I had
on
just
Dynasty.
barely enough time.
Hey, but you won, so congrats. GG,
I won.
GG.
Yeah.
Good job. Good job. It's a very chaotic game. It was nonsense.
Look into the intro after. No, we have Fortumi after this, and we can't look at the intro.
It's okay.
Well, we can't look at the replay.
But for now, we're going to be settling in. We do see our third base is being taken by both SKillous and ShoWTimE. It's been relatively passive openers here, standard play. We're just scouting each other, getting into Blink Stalkers. No one is going for any kind of crazy tech switch or any kind of greedier play. We're both kind of just checking each other, and this is kind of what we expect from a lot of like European PvP. Sometimes we get spoiled, Yaku, like when we're casting Hero or Classic, or even like Classic and Trap recently as well, if you remember. Like there's a lot of nonsense that happens between them, and it's very unique to the Korean scene, it feels.
Yeah, it really is. I want to say that there was a time period in EU itself where some of the more players, specifically like SKillous and like MaxPax, were leaning a bit more into that hero style, a bit more into that chaos, but I think we've kind of reached a little bit more of an equilibrium lately. SKillous and MaxPax, every now and then they'll still do something a little bit unorthodox, but yeah, for the most part, EU PvP has returned to that very standard and economic focused dynamic.
Yeah, especially when it comes to the top Protoss players, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. Again, we're just being very honorable in how we approach the PvP. No Dark Templar, no proxy, no nothing. Third base is getting saturated. We're getting into our gateway explosion. For now, it's pure gateway, like Stalker into charge slots. We have some Immortal production coming in from ShoWTimE, and that can definitely be impactful. Likewise, unless I missed it, I believe no one has invested into a Templar Archives yet, so there are no Archons in play. As I say that, ShoWTimE is going to be the first to take in that direction.
Yeah, throwing it down immediately. Yeah, SKillous is going to be opting for a couple more gateways. Okay, ShoWTimE also throwing down his gate, so both players working on their transition. SKillous is going to be the first to take a fourth.
Yeah, so SKillous, he's looking for a better economy and a larger army. Again, SKillous is going for this kind of mass gateway swarm toss style. ShoWTimE, he's the one taking and diversifying his army by incorporating some Immortals and now some Archons. It does mean that ShoWTimE's quality, his army is going to be a little bit greater and superior to that of SKillous, but at the same time, SKillous can try to outposition him and can try to out-micro him. We'll see if SKillous can pull it off as he does move out.
Yeah, immediately he does a bit of a larger army, a much larger army actually, and will be able to force a cancel. A couple of Immortals in the back line, but they're in the back line, so nothing too threatening. Yet for SKillous.
Yeah, we can just avoid the main army. We're going straight into the main. ShoWTimE hasn't spotted this. He does rotate over. He can always recall as well, as SKillous does split up his forces and he heads straight for the main.
Yeah, SKillous going to be picking ShoWTimE apart from two angles. Not that much damage to be had here in the fourth base location anymore, but he is able to take out that pylon, is able to take out that shield battery at the very least.
Yeah, and deny the fourth, right? Like, ShoWTimE is still expanding, still trying to resaturate, and he's going to be taking the southern fourth base instead. We'll see if he can get away with it, as SKillous is still being active, and he goes for the drop into the main base, this time with Zealous, as they are going to be busting in.
Yeah, he's distracted the main army, but now ShoWTimE knows what's up, so he sends a little contingent force back home. Still looking to guard that third, but the fourth once again will get cancelled and delayed.
Yeah, and that's all that SKillous has to do, just rotate and deny the fourth base over and over again, contains ShoWTimE to 3 bases, and then SKillous with the superior economy can overwhelm and just surpass ShoWTimE over time. We'll see if he can pull that off. As you mentioned before, SKillous does have the supply lead, and ShoWTimE is desperate. He's going for the goal.
Yeah, which is something you should never do in a mirror matchup on Dynasty. As I've learned.
You're like, it kills you, Poppy. Stay away, stay away. This is Yaku's PSA. As ShoWTimE does snipe the Prism.
Yeah, and that's going to be one fewer thing for ShoWTimE to have to worry about. Not going to have to split up his forces too much anymore. Now he can focus entirely on the main army of SKillous. SKillous does have a larger army, but not by much more. He does have better upgrades, but the most important thing right now is that he has not teched out of this direction at all. SKillous wants to end the game with a tier 2 army, whereas ShoWTimE, sure, he's struggling a little bit to get a fourth, but he's close to maxing out, and he's going to be maxed out with a much more sophisticated and much more high-tech army.
Oh, exactly. Like, ShoWTimE will outscale SKillous, but at the same time, SKillous going for a Zealot counterattack on the right-hand side. At the same time, ShoWTimE does keep up. He's going to be able to rotate over with his own Archons. We just see SKillous trying to find an angle of attack, but alas, his Zealots get caught out. The force fields.
Gotta love the force field, but the army of ShoWTimE is split up a little bit. SKillous blinks in, takes out the Warp Prism, but doesn't want to tangle with those 3 Immortals in the back line.
Yeah, again, that's a heavy Immortal count, and they will just eviscerate this Stalker-based army. You can see ShoWTimE rally everything on over. The Zealots, they close the distance, and SKillous does have to retreat.
Yeah, so retreat all the way back home. Initially, he was relying more on his Zealots to act as a buffer, but now that the Archons are rocking up, SKillous can't even rely on that anymore.
Yeah, SKillous, he is in trouble right now. He's racing all the way back home. Now, SKillous is going for a base, so he's skipping Immortals, he's skipping Archons. He's trying to rush into Disruptors, but he's not there yet. He needs time. He does pop the overcharge. Shield battery goes down instantly.
And once again, SKillous is on the ropes. ShoWTimE has bled out a couple of high-tech units, so lost, okay, actually, no, he hasn't bled out his high-tech units. He's bled out a lot of his low-tech units, which still kind of hurts a little bit.
Yeah, he lost his Prism earlier, which meant he couldn't reinforce, but now the Prism's been rebuilt. The Immortals and Archons, they still stand strong, and yeah, SKillous, he cannot engage, not head-on, not quite like that, as ShoWTimE is moving out, looking to deny the fourth base. Meanwhile, once again, the Prism will not go, no, will go down! Ah.
Just at the last second over there. But so will this Prism of... Okay, no, it won't. No, no, it will! So will the Prism of ShoWTimE, but at this point, I do think that ShoWTimE just has a much, much better army. He's starting to lock SKillous out of his own base while he takes it out.
Yeah, as he throws down the force field, he zones SKillous away. A bit of mispathing here. ShoWTimE bleeds out a couple of Zealots, but overall, ShoWTimE still has the better fight. He still has the better high ground here as he does take down even more Zealots.
Yeah, great force fields coming out here from ShoWTimE. Still with the better army. ShoWTimE doing what Light told me to do on this map. We're just fighting this position and take out the base and then go down the ramp.
I wasn't going to bring it up. But we do have Disruptors coming in. SKillous, he's bought enough time for those Disruptors, and now with Disruptors, he has a little potential with the army, but the Novas, they have to connect.
They do have to connect. Zoning is not going to be good enough at this point. ShoWTimE still has a lot of beef in this army, and it's only one Disruptor so far. Second one is rocking up. Okay, we're down to one Disruptor.
Yeah, we only have one Robo, so we're making one Disruptor at a time. Bit of concave here for ShoWTimE. He collapses on the main army. Nova's going to be going off. Does connect with the Archon, but it's an Archon. It can tank those shots, and it looks like ShoWTimE is looking to overwhelm.
Power is overwhelming. Archons are overwhelming. As once again, he blinks on for it, snipes those Disruptors. There's really nothing keeping ShoWTimE back at this point.
Yeah, exactly. He has hit his final form. The Disruptor count just never able to really build up to anything too threatening here, just one at a time. And GG gets called. ShoWTimE will take game number 1.
GG. ShoWTimE really showing off his signature Mauer style here. Both players playing pretty economically, but of course SKillous being the one to take more initiative, being a lot more mobile. ShoWTimE more than happy to play into that. There's a reason why he does have that nickname of the Mauer.
Yeah,
his defense is off the charts.
Yeah, I mean, SKillous, he was doing a good job at denying the fourth, right? He did it twice. He was able to deny the fourth base twice at that point, and he was having some good map control, but eventually ShoWTimE, as you mentioned, like his main army was able to build up. He was able to anticipate some of the movement, able to catch out some zealots, build up his archons, build up his immortals, and eventually take his own fourth as the gold, and then ShoWTimE really hit his stride. For SKillous, we did need to either accomplish a little bit more damage than just denying the fourth base, or be a lot faster when it comes to transitioning and throwing down the Bay, second Robo, and getting into Disruptors. It did feel like the Disruptor production was too little too late there for SKillous.
Without a doubt. 100%. I'm with you on that 100%. I do think that the biggest thing that kind of lost SKillous that game was the very late transition.
Yeah, especially considering that SKillous... Oh, go on.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, you pointed out at some point that we were working with very, very low tech for the side of SKillous. ShoWTimE, by the time he rocked up with 3 Immortals, 2 Archons, SKillous still had pretty much a purely Blink Stalker army with a handful of Zealots. So yeah, he really needed to get to that tech milestone a lot quicker.
Yeah, it's one of those things where to put things into context here, SKillous did have the better economy, right, for quite some time, and what was he doing with that better economy? Because SKillous, he wasn't just on 4 bases denying the fourth of ShoWTimE. In that 4-base setup, one of those bases was also the gold. Remember, SKillous really early on was able to get his gold base, I think as the 3rd even. So because that, with that boosted economy, we did need to use that to tech in a different direction. One of 2 ways, right? Either we tech up faster, or we do try to just overwhelm and max out.
Yeah. That's for you, which in the top left is the blue Protoss representing Team Liquid. SKillous.
The bottom right, we have ShoWTimE for Basilisk. Here we go.
Yeah. Not sure if you managed to catch that light, but when we zoomed in on our player cams, SKillous, he's got a player card behind him. I'm not sure if it's of himself, but it would probably make sense if it was his own player card.
Yeah. A lot of the players, we've seen it from SKillous. I think Björn also has his, so keep an eye out. Specifically, it's the player cards from I Am Katowice. There were like some larger size player cards that a lot of the players took back home with them.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Okay, it's just, they took back home with them. If you were wondering what happened to them, ESL,
Oh no, did I just out them? It's like, oh, they weren't supposed to, Pappy. Oh, they stole them. There was like an Ocean's 11 style heist that took place with the pro gamers at Smodic Arena. They snuck in the deep hours of the night.
Yeah. Everybody was so concerned of guarding the trophy. They were like, we gotta make sure that nobody steals the trophy, when really, that wasn't the prize. That's not what they were after.
Yeah. They were after the player cards all along, and it's just, if you're in the chat, don't tell them. Don't let ESL know. It's fine.
No one likes to snitch, Guru, cover your ears.
True. As we are going to be settling. And once again, standard openers, no proxies, nothing too crazy. It looks like SKillous is going for a more economic opener. I believe he's going to be canceling the Zealot just for a faster expansion. That's if there is no pylon block. ShoWTimE is being as annoying as possible, trying to delay the expansion for as long as he can.
There's the block. You'll love to see it. We also have a little bit of a delay here on the side of ShoWTimE, but nothing too major. ShoWTimE, interestingly enough, actually going to be the player to be a bit more aggressive by the looks of things. That's double Stalker compared to the Stalker Sentry of SKillous.
Yeah, double Stalker at ShoWTimE with another pair of Stalkers behind this as well. So ShoWTimE is about to move out across the map. We can see SKillous thankfully did open up with a Robo, so with that, SKillous is going to have access to early Immortal production if he's in a bit of trouble. But there's a lot of potential for ShoWTimE, a lot of potential, because I don't know if you noticed, SKillous opened up Sentry by itself. Like, he canceled the Zealot, did cancel the Zealot, just Sentry into an expansion. So SKillous actually doesn't have a Stalker, if I'm not mistaken.
He does not, actually. Now I think about it, he's going pure Sentry production right now, which is a pretty good indication that he's going to win this. As the Safety Immortal is also on the way.
True. Unfortunately, no shield battery on the low ground. The base is under fire here, and without a shield battery, these sentries can have a bit of a harder time engaging with the army, so we have to be very careful, very delicate dance here for SKillous. Doesn't want to overextend, doesn't want to bleed out these sentries too early on.
Yeah, he really does not. Sentries are good, but not quite able to overcome the sheer math that's on ShoWTimE's side. Now we have an Immortal though, and that should just about be the end of this harass. Nexus takes a bit of hull damage, but overall, still gets up in time.
Yeah, the math now in favor of SKillous. He does defend, going for hallucination across the map. Meanwhile, ShoWTimE backs off, and we're going for some Adept harass. Meanwhile, that is Glaives on the way for SKillous.
That is an interesting switch up here. Wasn't quite expecting SKillous to be our player, teching into Glaives and being a lot more aggressive as the game continues, but apparently it is. I love the looped probe. It's a fake out.
Yeah, he fans out his workers, looking for any proxies, does get eyes on the Adepts, very nicely done. For those that are curious, if you because when you hallucinate, you can choose what unit you want to make. If you make a probe, it actually makes 4 probes, which means you can actually gain, or you can scout greater distances or greater ground a lot more efficiently, as you can fan them out in 4 different directions. So we did find the Adepts. They do get 3 probe kills, but what I was alluding to with the tech production here of SKillous, it's a 2-base all-in. 2-base all-in, Immortal Adept, mass army here for SKillous is moving out across the map already, is getting ready for the warp in with that prism. Oh my god!
But the prism will fall, and that it's going to throw a massive wrench in SKillous' plans. This was a build that needed to hit on time, and now it's going to be massively delayed. SKillous, he wasn't building in any other direction. He cannot transition out of this now. He needs to commit, and at the very least take out a mineral line before getting a 3rd base.
You can see
that's even on the horizon.
You can see SKillous shaking his head, and he had a big reaction to losing the prism as well. Like, as you mentioned, like we were all in, like this is a big timing, and losing the prism was massive, and now SKillous, the longer this goes on, the worse it becomes. This is a really rough start for SKillous.
Without a doubt. He's got a little bit of an army now, though. Yeah, the Stalkers are going to do everything they can to try to lead SKillous' army on a bit of a wild goose chase. SKillous being very, very careful to avoid ShoWTimE. Going to go for a little bit of a multi-prong, which I think is a pretty good adjustment to this build. You know, you had to wait up a while to get your Warp Prism up and running, so anyway, so you might as well split up your army.
Yeah, just look how far away the reinforcements have to be for SKillous. In the top right-hand corner of the map, more Adepts are on the way. ShoWTimE taking a 3rd base. As I mentioned before, like, ShoWTimE is just easing into a better game with a better economy, with potentially a stronger army with those Blink Stalkers. SKillous needs to make some magic happen, and there is potential with this Warp Prism. We can go for the mineral line, but we need to get a lot of damage done.
Indeed, we do. SKillous has a pretty strong defense with these Immortals, but he needs more than that. He needs to not only live, he needs to get damage, and he needs to expand. How does the ult saying go? When your opponent does anything, attack, defend, and expand at the same time, and that's exactly what SKillous needs to do right now.
Yeah, we need to do it all here. We do dive on these Stalkers. Not a bad initial trade here. 1 Stalker goes down, Immortals move out. We're getting up to 4 Immortal production here for SKillous. That's going to be a hefty army, but you can see ShoWTimE just outmaneuver him and just pull him apart left and right, just picking away at the Adepts from the sides.
Chipping away at them bit by bit. Meanwhile, we see SKillous forcing a recall, which again is something at the very least.
It does force the recall. You can see ShoWTimE getting ready for potentially even a surround as well. He's setting up back at home. ShoWTimE with the economic advantage with the worker lead. Shield's going to be triggered here on one of those Immortals, already taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, ShoWTimE already setting things up to have the best possible fight before the fight even happens. I'm starting to go for the sandwich.
Setting up for it. We can see the
Now
depth
he's starting to
shading back. The prism likewise a little bit exposed, but so far we commit.
We do commit. Shield battery does get depowered. I want to believe in 4 stalkers and a juggling. But even then, it's going to be tough. SKillous going to go straight for the 3rd. Now he gets blinked right up on. Juggling is real!
Yeah, he juggles the immortals.
Real enough.
Yeah, 2 of them go down. The prism goes down. ShoWTimE, he collapses on the army. The adepts do get into the mineral lines. Probes are going down, but now there's no more war prism to reinforce. There's no more immortals here for the backbone of the army. It's only glaive adepts.
The wall is in fact a wall, and SKillous shaking his head a little bit there. GG is called. ShoWTimE going to be taking game number 2, giving a very solid, strong lead to his team, BASILISK.
GG, well played. As you said, a very good start for ShoWTimE, very strong start for BASILISK.
2 players who started rising at roughly the same time, 2 players who are the same age, both of them very, very young, and both of them known for just being very zoomer, in the sense that they're very fast players who like to multitask a lot, and so I'm gonna have to get a lot more coffee ready for this one, like, because I have a feeling that it's gonna be difficult for us to keep up with it, and I think it's gonna be difficult for the observer to keep up with it. It's we're gonna have to split up our duties and each manage different aspects of the game.
We will. Again, a TVZ between Clem and Reynor. I believe Reynor, he's currently still in Korea. I remember he was live yesterday, and the title of this Twitch stream, I believe, was his last stream in Korea. So he is soon returning to Europe, but I don't think he's quite there yet. That is going to be potentially a factor
He's
here.
playing from the plane. And we are back. Hope you were able to make use of that little break that we've gotten here. Good ability to stretch, good time to get water and whatnot. We now have our next matchup, and I'm loving the contrast that we have here. We have Reynor on one side, he's smooching already. And on the other side, we have Clem, leg up, just relaxing, just like, yeah.
It is the yin and the yang. I think the last time I casted Clem, we had this conversation in the chat as well, with the Twitch chat, about how like Clem is an anomaly. Like he's one of the few Terran players out there that like doesn't smooch, you know, like where he's got like this like smile to him, you know, like he's still got hope in his eyes, like this glimmer.
Well,
of,
he is
like,
young.
Yeah, of like purity. Like he's beautiful.
He's got that youthful innocence to him.
He does. He unironically.
He hasn't been long, Kurt. He actually has been. But regardless, we're going to hear on Amphion. Top left, we have the blue Terran player for Team Liquid. Well.
And in the bottom left, we have from Italy, Reynor for BASILISK.
From Italy, but yeah, still in that Korean apartment from the looks of the thing. Is it an apartment or is it a hotel suite? I'm not sure if we got full confirmation on that.
Yeah, I'm not actually 100% certain.
We know it's definitely not a house, because
yeah.
You're looking to rent a room in a house in Korea? No.
Regardless, Reynor will soon return to the land of Europa. Until then, is spending his last days in Korea and is looking to fight back or even maintain the lead for his team. Again, it was a big win for ShoWTimE, taking the 2-0 over SKillous, and it'll be insane if Reynor can have success over Clem anywhere near as much as well. Like, I do expect this to be back and forth. I'm hoping for a 1-1, but we'll see.
Yeah, we shall see. We shall see indeed. Little finger gun to the camera from Clem. You'll love to see it. At least I think that's what it was.
We also had Clem sipping on some coffee. As we know, it's bright and early for him in Europe.
Yeah, it's way too early over there in the land of Europa. It's like 1 p.m. if I have my conversion correctly. So
yeah, it's like 2-3 p.m. Yeah, it's like
way too early.
It's bright and early here for Clem. But we are settling in nonetheless. It was a 15-15 opener out of Reynor, so a very safe opener from our Zerg player. This does allow us to get into our queens a little bit faster, our link production a little bit faster. In case it was a 2-rack Reaper opener, we'd be ready for it. We can see a standard opener though from Clem.
Yeah, nice and normal and economic. Now, of course, Amphion is not typically a map that you see too much of in TVZ, but that's why we are eternally appreciative of SC Boy and how they formatted WTL, how they formatted vetoes, where they say, you know what? No, we're gonna choose the first map.
But you gotta say how they conduct vetoes, where you know what? They're like, no.
There are no vetoes.
Just no veto, yeah. It's beautiful. I mean, I'm sure the players have their own thoughts about it, but as a viewer and a caster, I appreciate it a lot. Because it does allow us to embrace some of these maps more than we otherwise will. Otherwise, we almost never see Dynasty or Post-Youth or Amphion. So yeah, it's really cool to see us embrace some other sides of StarCraft.
Yeah. A couple more of the technically symmetrical, but not 100% symmetrical, if that makes sense. You can fold it in half horizontally. You can fold this map in half. You can't fold it in half vertically or diagonally.
True. Can't fold it.
Yeah, it just can't be folded. Can't fold them.
But we'll see how where this does take us. As for now, again, standard open out of Reynor is being contained on 2 bases a little bit longer. His third base is heavily delayed, by the way, from the side of Reynor. He will eventually expand. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, we see Clem going for a 3cc 2-1-1. He's delaying his starport in favor of a second Rax, and he's prioritizing Stim over everything. So, yeah, a bit of a more economic 2-on-1 variation out of Clem.
Yeah, this is going to lead to a bit more aggression as the game continues. We are going to be seeing Clem move out with 2 medevacs worth of Marines to try to get some damage done, you know, kill some creep, ideally take out a queen maybe, delay another base, but for the most part, but at the same time, he's going to be setting himself up to get into his mid-game as well.
Yeah, exactly. It does mean that we have less Hellions to work with. As we say that, 2 Hellions dive in, they get shut down, there are no more Hellions left. Really, it's until Clem gets into his drop play where Reynor is free to drone. Reynor, he's free to heavily drone up, take his third. Remember, his third was very late, and Reynor's actually massing Lings, and he's going for some drop lords. Oh my god, we're going for an all-in.
Yep. You can tell Reynor's homesick, because he's going for that Italian Vespa. Once again.
Let's go. So we have Dropper Lords at Overlord speed, so we're going to be sending our queens across the map. It's going to be a queen Ling all-in here from Reynor, and I'm curious how this plays out. I believe Stim will barely finish in time for this, as Stim is on the horizon.
Yeah, it's about to finish up, about 15 more seconds, something like that, so we will have Stim to work with here. It's an interesting variation on the Drop Lord play, because obviously you are still sending your queens across the map, so it's still quite dedicated, but normally when you see this, it's roaches.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Usually it is roach play. Meanwhile, the Dropper Lords have right. Boys are being pulled. We do have that initial stim. Ling's going to be going down the queens. They do try to get over the wall, but the rings, they trade so efficiently.
Yeah, good body blocking here. Thanks to the SCVs, 18 of them will go down. More of them will fall in the main base as well. That is why the 4th Dropper Lord is so valuable. Reynor getting a lot of damage done.
Honestly, if it wasn't for the Dropper Lord in the main base, I feel like Clem would have been able to hold and minimize losses. But as you mentioned, 27 SCVs go down. We have control of the low ground. We spared creep, but there's no mining whatsoever at the natural. And Reynor has not killed Clem, but he has crippled him. He has denied all kind of minings here at the natural.
Yeah, all sorts. Of course, Clem, because he went for a bit more of an economic opener, because he did go for that 3cc, he can recover, and he should be able to recover after a while. Reynor, to get here, hasn't been able to drone up too much either, but even still, keeping Clem back this early on will just pay off massively as we eventually get into our mid-game and then later into our late game.
Yeah, exactly, as we do see Reynor just spreading creep backwards from across the map as well, being as annoying as possible. One of the Dropper Lord into the main base is spotted, so Clem would be able to defend and deflect Reynor initially. But again, Reynor just has so much more freedom back at home. Reynor, he's droning up as hard as possible. It is a little bit supply block, but he's just droning up, getting into Eva chambers, getting into upgrades, getting ready for a longer game.
Yeah, he's already crippled Clem, as you said, so now the pressure is off. He can just hang back, drone up, get into his late game, get into the tech that will kind of show Clem why so many Terran players smooch.
It's gonna like mail Clem a hoodie. Be like, Papi, embrace the smoke.
You're gonna need this. You need this more than I do.
This is what Korea did to me. This is me now. Ling Queen all-ins on 2 bases. Crazy, Papi, crazy. 4 more SCVs going to be going down in the main. Almost a 5th, but just 4 workers for the time being. Clem's down to 34 workers, is being active with the double drop. That is true, but the medevacs are already out of energy, and Reynor has an army to defend back at home. He should be okay. He should be able to survive this.
Yeah. I think the best Clem can really hope for with this move out is to just trade well against the Lings. Which is possible.
Yeah, I mean, good side of stepping here. He does shave off some Lings, forced to pick up, forced to pull back for the time being. Infestation bits on the way. That's going to be for a Hive Tech, for potentially even Infestor play as well, if we did feel the need to do so. And you can see, oh my god, Reynor being so annoying. He's still spreading creep even across the map in the natural base of Clem. He's an animal.
Yeah, I love to see it. Yeah. Such a good tactic to utilize. Seems very simple, and it is pretty simple, but it can really mess with the flow of the Terran player. You know, now you're all of a sudden having to spend scans on clearing up creep that shouldn't be on this side of the map yet, instead of throwing down more mules or scanning to clear up creep on the other side of the map.
Yeah, fun fact, this is an Eric maneuver, by the way, which Serral did actually take from Eric as well. As we do see Ling Bane collapsing double the Bio Army. Nice control, nice target firing on the Banelings, at least, from Clem, but he is getting caught out and is being forced back once again.
Good tank. We do have some juggling. The tank. We do have some juggling. The tanks will not go down. Which is super important right now for Clem, obviously. The tanks are going to be the backbone of the Terran army. I love this little maneuver where he dropped creep from his Dropper Lord and just threw down Tumor Queens. Nice little cheeky things that you can do.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, as I was saying, tank's not just going to be the backbone of the Terran army. Clem also just doesn't really have much of an economy to rebuild those tanks if he does use them.
I just appreciate so much that we're seeing this again. Eric, he started doing this last year, or was it the year before that? Serral eventually saw it and he started adopting it himself, and now we can see Reynor doing it. It's just such an annoying thing to deal with here, just having like these active drops to spread creep across the map. 14 SVs go down across the map as well. We have Queens in the main. It looks like Clem does well with the initial drop across the map, but alas, it still pales in comparison to how much damage is being dealt from the side of Reynor.
16 more SCVs go down, and there's plenty more where that came from. Clem, doesn't really have long for this world. At least his economy doesn't really have long for this world anymore. He's got mules, which are great.
Yeah.
I don't have a butt behind that, now that I think about it. Mules are pretty good.
They're just, you know what, they're just good.
They're pretty good.
They're pretty good.
He's got mules.
He's got mules.
Actually, the butt is, well, he's been clearing up so much creep. He's been spending so much energy
he
on
doesn't
scans
have mules.
He might not have mules. That's
yeah. That's the real problem here. Like if he had like if he had like 2 or 3 mules, he'd be okay. Lings, they come in from behind. Oh, the Queens do focus on one of the medevacs. So tanks have targeted down as well. And Reynor, he has control of the map. He has control of Amphion. Creep all over the place, just scattered throughout, even forcing the the land off center as well, which just being so annoying. We don't have anything but skins.
GG is called, and Reynor going to be taking game number 1, taking a page off of Eric.
GG, well played. Let's go as Reynor, aka Eric, basically.
Basically, yeah.
Elbat pushes as well. I feel like we're about to pop off here in game 2.
Oh yeah, this is when no holds, nothing's held back.
Mate, Clem's mug is massive. It's bigger than his head.
Well,
did you see?
It's wide, but it's not that tall, you know?
Yeah.
Which I think is how it's meant to be for coffee and stuff. I just have a standard mug over here.
Oh.
It's a rectangle. Anyway, over here in the top right, it's Clem, Blue, Terran, for Team Liquid, it's Clem.
And in the top left, we have a Reynor for Basilisk. In my mind, because you know how we have Maru, who has like a water bottle that's like the size of his body?
Bigger than him.
In my mind, yeah, Clem, he's like the European variant of that, which is like just a massive
it makes
mug
sense.
that's like bigger than his head. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Yeah.
Both hydrating in different ways. It makes sense. You know, Clem, he's still a zoomer. You know, still young. Still needs that.
Yeah, he needs to grow, or he needs that water to grow.
As here we go, we do have a pull first by Reynor.
Yes, and ordinarily you would have that caveat saying it could just be a safety pool first, especially since we're not mining gas just yet for Reynor, but we're on Ghost River, so that actually means that it's more likely to be a safety pool first. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely read this as being just a very safe opener here from Reynor. Has potential to be aggressive, as you mentioned, and we'll see if that does kind of lead us anywhere if we do go for something like an earlier Roach Warren.
I was trying to set up this narrative, man. I was trying to set up this. Yes, I'm emboldened after game number 1. Reynor's just gonna go and attack, but it's like the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, I can't really sell this. Nobody's gonna believe me. Nobody's gonna believe me, considering everything else going on in game. Considering the fact that he's barely mining gas.
Yeah, he's just, again, playing very safe here. Lings reveal themselves. The SCV does confirm that the hatchery is later than normal. That does, of course, tell us, or tell at least Clem, that his opponent did go for a faster spawning pool, so he should be taking a more defensive stance. Reaper moves out, and it's going to be very important for Clem to not just defend against the Lings, but scout and make sure that there is no Roach Warren.
You're telling me.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Roach pushes have been coming back, have been popular again, but especially on Ghost River, there's a lot of potential. I mean, you said it yourself, Ghost River, it's a map where you take one step to the left, you're already halfway across the map. You take one more step to the left, you're in your opponent's base. You take another step, and you've fallen off the map entirely.
Okay.
It's very short, and you can hit very powerful timings with roaches before the Terran player is really able to set up their defenses.
And watch your step.
Yeah, gotta watch. No trip.
Meanwhile, Clem is going for a 1-1-1. Very aggressive build here from Clem. We very rarely see 1-1. Not one nowadays. It's odd not to see a faster third CC. So this tells us that we have faster Banshee production. This could also lead into a Hellbat push. We'll keep an eye out for the Hellion count and whether or not an armory gets thrown down for Clem.
That we shall. Nice peeled, as so far just gonna be Lib Hellion harass by the looks of things. Clem being active with his Hellions, going in for a bit of a follow-up scout here with his Hellions.
Yeah, getting 2 drones. It was 1 drone at the natural. The Reaper got 1 drone in the main, so very nice damage. Stim is being prioritized here for Clem. Interesting choice. So no add-on swap. We're not going into Banshee production, but it's very fast Stim, and I'm still keeping my eye open here for the armory as the Hellions are being very cavalier, but once again threatening the third base.
Yeah, just zooming in, zooming out. Pretty much taunting Reynor's. Yeah, pretty much taunting Reynor's queens to chase after them. Get them off creep so they can't transfuse.
Yeah, they do threaten those, or that mineral line at least. We just see Clem backing off for the time being. Likewise, Reynor still amassing his own units. Clem now throws down a third CC, so it is not going to be a Hellbat push. Just working towards Stim and working towards the rest of our production. Clem is going to be macroing out of this.
Yeah. It's a good old Liberator Hellion harass. It's classic. It hasn't failed anyone yet. As Reynor's been doing a really good job of just keeping on top of this harass himself. Not really allowing the Hellions into the bases, while also dancing his workers back and forth. I thought that queen was going to go down, but apparently not.
Yeah, so we do manage to catch a queen with the Liberators. 4 drones go down. The Hellions, they trade well against the Lings, and now we get into the mineral line.
Oh, the queen, the queen, the queen! It's looking vulnerable, but looks like it's not going to get targeted in the end here from the Hellions. Instead, 2 more drones are going to go down. 7 drones? Not too bad here for Clem as he slowly but surely starts to even out the worker counts.
Yeah,
and considering that his Serral base, Serral base just about to finish up here. It's just going to get higher and higher for him.
Yeah, not too bad at all. 7 drone kills back at home. Clem, he's going to be building up, working towards his bio tank. Likewise, Reynor going for a much later lair. Just because of the opener itself, it's been a little bit shaky here for Reynor. But yeah, just really late tech. Like the lair's just now on the way, the Evo chamber's now on the way. This does mean the upgrade is going to be delayed here, and it does mean that Clem has a pretty big upgrade advantage.
Yeah, this is pretty much everything that this build has been working towards, right? This is why Clem did choose Ghost River. It's all to set up this 1-1 timing.
Yeah, the 1-1 timing is going to be a strong one here for Clem. Reynor, because of the lair timing, I believe we should be working and prioritizing Bailing speed. As soon as the Bailing nest is done, upgrades are now on the way. Reynor trying to get his 4th base up and running, but as you mentioned, I do feel like Clem has a kind of a big window available to him once those upgrades kick in. Until then, is being active with his drop play.
Yeah, taking out Overlords, gonna be clearing up creep, or ideally gonna be clearing up creep. Gets eyes on a couple of queens, can you target them down? They don't have a lot of energy, so 1 queen will fall. 1 queen will fall before reinforcements arrive, and Clem is forced to pick up. But even still, pretty good trade.
Not a bad trade here. Drop does pull back, you know, getting some Lings, getting an Overlord, threatening the bases, and just keeping Reynor busy. And we're still just waiting for those upgrades to kick in before Clem can actually commit and move out across the map. And so far, again, trading well for himself.
Yeah, gets another queen. And more importantly, is reserving these units. These are going to be super, super important when the push eventually does arrive. You want to have as many Marines as possible to act as a buffer for those tanks. You want to deal as much damage as you can in the push, not necessarily with the drop.
Exactly, it's just building up for that push. Has to be careful, these medevacs are getting very low here for Clem. At the same time, double drop into the natural base, and Reynor's out of position.
He is entirely out of position, doesn't have that many Banelings to work with either, and the few that he does have are slow Banes. Target fire! Not quite able to get all of them, but even still, once again, a fantastic trade here for Clem.
Yeah, exactly. He takes out Lings, takes out Banelings, threatens the Baneling Nest. Baneling speed will finish up. Thankfully, the Baneling Nest does not quite go down, and Reynor will have a standing chance, so he will have some Ling Bane to defend against the push.
As Clem is still setting it up for now, switches away from tank production to prioritize mines instead.
Yeah, here we go. As you mentioned, we were setting up, and now you can see the Unsieged Clem is pushing through the center of the map. This is the timing that we were building up towards. 2-2 is on the horizon here, but Clem does have a pretty formidable force he can make use of as he's looking to push through towards the southern half of the map.
Yeah, I mean, the upgrades are even, which I have to say favors the Terran player a little bit more when you're playing Bio. There aren't that many Banelings on the map either, and 3 tanks. It's a pretty strong backbone. Very keep your spine up.
Very strong backbone here for Clem. Banelings are massing up. A Hive is done for Adrenal here for Reynor, so his Ling's going to be a little bit more impactful in the next fight. Really nice tank positioning here on top of the high ground, and Clem will at least be able to deny that fresh mining base as Reynor attempted to expand and take a 5th, but it should be cancelled as we're going for a big Ling counterattack. Up!
Real nice splits coming up from Reynor here. As once again, Clem can't quite push in yet. He's poking, prodding, and trying to find little gateways around. I believe that was a kill and not a cancel on that hatchery.
Yeah, that was a kill on the base. Reynor being pulled apart at the seams here, and Clem is still going to be committing. You can see Reynor trying to find a way in across the map, is going to be threatening the 3rd base, even threatening the 4th. There are Marines in position, but that's a lot of Lings. Now we pull back.
That is a lot of Lings, but that's a lot of choke point potential. SimCity just not quite in Reynor's favor. Reynor, he just wants to expand, Papi. He just wants to get a 5th.
He does, and here we go. He comes in for the Serral. He gets on top of the tanks. All 3 tanks going to be going down. The Bio Army trades well, but I believe we should shut down at least all the tanks.
Yeah, which is not insignificant, but at the same time, we also clear off all of the Banelings. Clem can start to keep this going, and especially because he's switched production to Widow Mines instead of tanks, he should be able to get here a little bit faster with his reinforcements as well. Reynor with the clutch hold with all of these queens, though, is going to force Clem to have to reposition slightly. The Viper's now out, which is worrisome. Yeah,
Reynor, he's in a lot of trouble. He is on the brink here of being broken. He bled out and traded so inefficiently when he cleaned up those tanks. He lost so many Lings and so many Banelings. He does have some Ling Bane to hold on, but you can see Clem is maxed out and Reynor is down 50 supply.
And that's a lot of supply. He's out 50 supply overall and 30 supply army supply. And considering the fact that you generally aren't going to be very efficient on supply as a Zerg player anyway, yeah, that is terrifying. Good connection with one of these Banelings, but not good enough, it seems.
Yeah, the Baneling connections were okay, but the Bio Army does stand strong. We have a line of 13 Banelings in production, and we can maybe barely try to hold on with this. Banelings are going to be rolling in, and Clem does have to retreat.
Yeah, there are no more Widow Mines. Clem target firing his heart out. The Widow Mine does not quite get the Banelings, but does allow Clem to keep this going. Was that was Zerglings, right? That wasn't a Viper that went down to the mine.
No Lings. The Viper survived.
Okay.
The Viper did survive, but Clem, what's important here is he's denying the 5th. Over and over again with these pushes, he's just denying the 5th base here, containing Reynor to 4 hatcheries, and just ensuring that Reynor does not max out with this split push, pulling Reynor apart, and Reynor can barely keep up.
Hot pickup on that Bio, yeah, just continues to allow Clem to keep his army preserved. He was maxed out a while ago before pushing in, and now he's maxed out once again. This time, though, with Ghosts. This time with Widow Mines and whatnot. Great EMP on top of that Viper. Only one pair bomb was able to land.
Those are brutal mines, by the way. We shut down most of those Banelings. We still have a handful left, 9 more Banelings in production. But once again, Clem, he just refuses to let up. He just keeps the pressure going time and time again. Reynor can barely survive as he's forced to fight off creep.
Yeah, he can barely survive. He can't even breathe. Brilliant target firing coming out once again from Clem. And that's the last line of Reynor's defenses. He's got a couple of Yeah, he's got a couple of Lingbane coming up now, but they fall very, very quickly and dramatically.
Yeah, they fall short here as it just is not enough Lingbane on the ground. We have one Baneling left.
Oh?
We can maybe force a pickup. Looks like we barely overwhelmed the ground army, but Clem, the rally just does not stop. He refuses to back up. Reynor, he's barely holding on. He wants to expand. He wants to take a 5th base, but it's just not happening.
And a quick little pause here from the observer, but yeah, I think that was the operative word that you used earlier on there. Barely. Reynor is barely holding on. He's trading out lots and lots of units and lots of gas to hold against the full-on onslaught of Clem. And considering he's been on four bases for pretty much the entirety of this game, considering the fact that he's never been able to get a 5th, these trades are hurting him so much more than they're hurting Clem.
They really are. They really are hurting him. And for a moment there, I thought it was like one of us. It's like, who's lagging? But it's like, oh, we're not even in game. Like,
I got that for a second.
Yeah. So unfortunately, just there's some latency going on.
I have to check my ping.
Yeah, I imagine with one of the observers, but it looks like we are jumping back in. Okay. Once again, we're just forcing Reynor further and further back. The Queens are trying to hold on. Looks like we're still experiencing a bit of latency, and hopefully it isn't affecting the players too much. As with Reynor, he's getting ready to try to set up for a flank.
Yeah, trying to, but look at all of these Widow Mines. Great mine shot on top of the vast majority of Banes, and there's still plenty more mines where that came from.
Yeah. The minefield is insane. I thought it was going to be a flank, but no, Reynor is trying to catch reinforcements. He sends a massive wave of lings across the map. That means he cannot defend back at home. GG gets called, and Clem overwhelms. Clem takes game number 2.
Clem with that thinking pose towards the end there as well. And we are back, coming in here from, oh my, that's formal. Anyway, we are coming, just a little shocked by the formalness of
Exactly. Serral, he needs to unleash the beast, okay? We know.
But anyway, over here we come to the golden hour, bottom right corner of the map, we have a blue turtle player for Team Liquid. It's Cure.
And in the top left, we have a Serral for Basilisk.
Here we go. I believe this is the 2nd week of WTL that Serral's been, given permission to compete. Normally he is only available for those big prestigious tournaments, which where he is allowed to have leave from. But I guess we're getting into summer now, so I don't know what the vacations are like over there in Finland.
Yeah. I don't know if maybe he has a bit of time off. I don't know if he's, I'm not too certain how it does go down there. Every now and then he's got like a weekend off here or there, though. So it's really great to see that Serral has at least this weekend free to compete in WTL. And we'll see how his form is looking like, because the reality is that he has less time to practice, less time to improve. That did not stop him from winning DreamHack Dallas, though. Bear that in mind.
Had it did not. I think Serral himself has actually said that ever since he joined the military, he did have to switch up his mindset a little bit. He did have to, because doesn't have as much time to compete, he just has to make the most out of what time he does have. And so far, in his words, he's been able to utilize it very well. I mean, in his words and also his results, right? He won DreamHack Dallas. And so, yeah, he's just been getting more balance in a way, waking up at the crack of dawn, which I think he was doing anyway, but But except this time, he's waking up to the sound of a trumpet instead of, I don't know, sunlight? Question. I don't know what goes on in Finland. Usually.
I think it's very clear at that.
Yeah.
But
They have sunlight over there, right?
yeah. I think they have a lot of it actually. I think they
Ah.
yeah.
I've been told it's very flat.
Mhm.
There aren't a lot of mountains.
There you go. Been learning. But for now, we're settling in. It is going to be a standard opener here out of Serral. Going to be leading into Golden or of all maps, where we could see a bit more aggression. Again, my eyes really are mainly on Cure to see if he does try to switch things up. I say that, we see a third CC on the production tab, so it is going to be an economic opener for Cure.
Yeah, 3 before start party. He gets a tumor. That's game.
That's it. It's over.
That's game. It's done.
There you go. That's game one of the... Okay, now we have to focus on game two. Now we... But a very nice start here for Cure. Does snipe the tumor, something that shouldn't really be occurring too early on like this. So a nice pick off here, a nice little bonus for Cure.
Indeed, it is. Now, of course, our eyes are definitely more on Cure to see if he is going to switch things up a little bit, or potentially not switch things up at all. Because I believe the consensus recently is that since in 2024. Post IEM Katowice anyway, the only Terran player who was able to take maps off of Serral has been Oliveira. And very specifically, it's with that hyper-aggressive, hyper-active 8-rack style, where you give Serral absolutely zero time to think, zero time to breathe, and just try to break him through sheer macro and numbers. And it's worked out pretty well for Oliveira. I mean, was able to take Serral all the way to the ace match, and we're back in DreamHack Dallas, and I think that's kind of been the consensus amongst a lot of the Terran players who are theory crafting. Oliveira himself spoke with SC Boy and said as much, where he's like, yeah, you cannot try to switch things up, and you cannot try to pull a fast one on Serral. You just have to go hard and just hope that you're able to overwhelm him that way through your macro and through your aggression.
Yeah, and we'll see how Cure approaches this, because it is an economic opener. It is 3cc into a 1-1-1, but it is leading into a Hellbat push. Not just any regular Hellbat push, we have Concussive Shell Marauders to support.
Yeah, so a little bit more committed when it comes to Hellbat timings. This is ideally to prevent queens from escaping. This is ideally to... Yeah, I think mostly for the queens, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be good against the queens. The problem here for Cure is that Serral's playing very safe. He's playing very safe. He threw down an earlier Roach Warren, which means he's going to have Ling, Queen, Roaches to defend, and the Marauders that will help against them as well, but the Hellbats are going to be that much less effective here. So we'll see if Serral's in position. We'll see how many Roaches we have, because Serral is droning. He did make a handful of safety Roaches. Is it going to be enough? That is the question, as Cure is rocking up.
Yeah, we shall see, as those Marauders going to help out a ton against the Roaches specifically, but now we're fighting deep into creep. Not that many army units here for Serral, but he's still got a fantastic concave of queens. He's got energy on them. He can transfuse, but he's not quite able to get on top of it.
Yeah, there were not enough Roaches, only 4 Roaches there. They all go focus down. The Queens are falling one after the other as well. We have dealt 0 economic damage. We have to keep pushing. We have to get into a mineral line as we do catch another reinforcing Roach.
I got worried there for a second here for Cure. I was worried that he was going to spend a little bit too much time with that Roach Warren, but now he is diving into position. The medevac does get targeted down, though, and that really hampers the sustainability of this push. The Hellbats go down, and now the drones are just going to surround everything else. Might not want to surround a Viking, as... Yeah, Cure actually getting quite a lot of damage done.
Yeah, that Viking goes ham in the mineral line. 9 drones go down. Not too bad, actually. I was really concerned that Cure wasn't going to get any economic damage, but he eventually did get into the mineral line, bled out his entire army, but he was supposed to. Again, it was meant to be a one-way trip for that force, and he does quite nicely. With that Cure, he's able to take an economic lead here with his SCV count with mules.
Indeed, he is. He's got mules, yeah. He doesn't have to scan.
True. It feels Clem, man.
Yes, Clem.
So Kiri's going to settle on back. Meanwhile, Serral is attempting to stabilize. Serral, he's re-droning, replacing queens, is getting into his upgrades. The game will progress from here, but again, that wasn't a bad push from Cure. He was able to take down quite a bit with that initial Hellbat timing, and now we're building up towards a longer game.
Yeah, pretty good start here for Cure, but Serral is looking to skip the mid game entirely. Infestation Pit finished up a while ago, and now he is working on Hive. This does mean that he's a little bit vulnerable here if Cure ever does decide to push out, but I'm not sure how likely that is, as this 1-1 is still a ways off. He's gonna be active on the map with this drop, but that's why the roaches are here. They're just gonna try to deter Cure from getting anywhere deep onto Serral's side of the map and prevent him from getting a sense of what he's planning.
Yeah, Cure wants it, but he just can't go deep enough here as Serral does deflect him. Again, with the Roach production, it's a very safe way to deal with these drops. As long as we're in position, likewise, Serral even going to be counterattacking. The CC is going to be safe and sound. Cure will get away with it. The fourth base will be able to finish.
Indeed, it will. So once again, Cure putting himself on about even or even better economic grounds than Serral. But behind all of this, Serral's undroning. He knew that there was a moment in time where he was vulnerable, so he just got active with his roaches, and now he's up to 80 drones.
Yeah, he's got a solid economy here from the side of Serral. We have the Hive done. Vipers are on the way. The upgrades are a little bit lacking. That is true. We're still working on +1 melee, but the army itself is getting up there for Serral with 5 Vipers on. That's a lot of Vipers.
It's quite a bit. Almost excessive, if you ask me.
A little bit.
Just a tiny bit, but considering the fact that he did get to end game so much quicker, or get to late game so much quicker than Cure. Cure doesn't have a Ghost Academy or anything like that. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty massive moment, window of opportunity for these Vipers to get a lot done.
Yeah, I mean, the goal and the reasoning why we have so many Vipers here is to shut down the drop play. Like, we have no anti-air, we have no Hydras, we lost Queens earlier, we didn't really replace too many of them, there's no Spire, there's no Mutas, there's no Corruptors, so how do we shut down drops with parasitic bombs? And you'd have to layer power bombs here on Medevacs to bring them down. At the same time, the drop is going to get caught out!
Yeah, Medevacs is not in position to pick up. Cure's attention was elsewhere. Meanwhile, this other drop could be chased away once again. Serral about to max out, and he's maxed out now.
Yeah, he has maxed out. We have our Vipers gathering energy. Ultra Cavern on the way to get from Roach Ravager into Lingbane Ultra. The transition is upon us. Still takes some time to really get going, but Serral is almost at his final form, and the Vipers are pushing forward. Serral, can he try to break one of these bases? Is at least going to try to keep up with the drops.
He's almost at his final form, and the only reason why he's not at his final form yet is because he's maxed out.
He does want to get rid of his Roach Ravager. He would love to trade it out as, so far we're keeping up with the drops towards the north. Cure is expanding, taking the southern base as a 5th, but that he does expose himself when he does that.
Like so. Huge yoink on these tanks, and the tanks going down. This Terran army doesn't have much of a backbone remaining. Sure, a lot of roaches go down, a lot of lings go down, but that's them. Those are losses that Serral wanted to sustain.
Yeah, and he took down...
Because now he's getting ultras.
He is getting ultras. He took down 3 tanks in that trade as well. A very nice trade out of Serral. He saves and preserves all of his Vipers. He's going to pull back, regather energy, and look to pounce on that 5th base once again for a second time as Bailings do connect. Cure bleeding out a little bit. Cure is going to be able to max out himself as well. That is true, but Serral is going to be the aggressor.
That he will. He's going to have full map control as well as, well, hitting everybody's favorite point in TVZ, I'm sure, where Terran player has to turtle up on 5 bases and the Zerg player takes every other base on the map.
Okay, he's taking every other base. He's sneaking out top right. It's a very cheeky base there from Serral, so far unscouted. Has maxed out. I'm loving the Viking production here from Cure. With the help of the Vikings, we're able to zone away the Vipers. As I say that, there's still 5 Vipers.
Yeah, 5 Vipers with Queens in the backline to support. Cure unable to kill any of those Vipers, and actually loses all of his Vikings as well.
That was actually pretty impressive. Yeah, we're able to shuffle back the Vipers. We collapse here on top of the planetary. The Ultras, they hold the line as the Link Bane crashes on in and the planetary goes down.
And that's pretty much Serral's win condition here on out, isn't it? Just continue to smash that 5th base and make sure that Cure can never get it up and running.
Yeah, Serral's smash is all he needs to do. Just deny the 5th over and over again. And again, because of the low ground position, that 5th base is so exposed, Cure needs time to actually secure his position to get his tanks up and running, to get SimCity going as well. Meanwhile, 3-3 is on the horizon, and Serral is getting ready for a Doom drop. Oh my god.
It's a lot of drop alerts and a lot of lings being set up here. Ordinarily, a drop at this stage of the game is just meant to distract the Terran army, but Serral, he's looking to get damage done as well. Oh, but it gets scouted!
Ooh, doesn't get scouted. The center tower has fallen, but there is a Viking in position. Doesn't matter. Does Cure have enough? Okay, we do rally our tanks and our Vikings over, but that's a lot of lings.
A lot of lings. Oh, but it will fall.
Yeah.
It's getting cleaned up. Like so. There has to be careful though, because yeah, he did pull a lot of bio to deal with that drop. But this frontal assault from Serral is not as strong as it normally would be.
Yeah, we did leave quite an amount of tanks here in the back line to help defend. We do deny mining at the 5th base, but the CC does survive. The tanks, they hold the line, and Cure, he bleeds out 11 SCVs, but he does hold on to the position. He can rebuild and secure this position quite well.
Yeah, indeed he can. Okay, he's getting a planetary. I was gonna ask, at this stage, is it worth it to get the planetary? Because sometimes you just want to lift. Sometimes it's better to just lift up that building, but yeah, regardless, Cure is gonna grab that planetary.
Yeah, sometimes it's just worth getting your pump on here, but alas, Cure is just gonna go for the planetary, be a little bit more safe and secure. Meanwhile, Serral's taking up. We spoke about his final form being Link Bane, Viper, Ultra, but no, the final form is gonna be Broodlord. So, Spire is on the way. We're getting ready for potentially a Corruptor and Broodlord transition. We're not quite there yet, but Serral does have it in the back of his mind.
Yeah, it's going to take a while for him to get to that stage, but he's already setting himself up brilliantly for it. Cure, he knows he can't really spare any supply to go out on the map, so yeah, he can't really deny any of these other bases here of Serral. Yeah, Vikings force out a Parabomb.
It's just so crucial here that Serral, he's actually prioritized mining at both corner bases. At the same time, the Lings, they do float on forward here. The tank line's still looking impressive, so Serral has to be careful to overextend. Yeah, he will be pulling back. But I don't know if you saw the Nidus Worms. I believe there's a Nidus towards the bottom left and top right end bases, just so he can reinforce and evacuate whenever he needs to. And again, essentially, he's just taking money away from Cure.
Exactly. He's not mining from that 5th base location or that 6th base location, but that's because, like you said, he would rather spend his opponent's money than his own.
Yeah, exactly, as that's his now win condition. The 5th base has been taken. Like Cure, he has a 5th, which is great and all, but as the observer's pointing out, we have full saturation towards the corners of the map. And then Serral can fall back and start mining through his closer bases, which are still relatively untouched.
Yeah. It's just going to have so much more of a bank to work with. We're not quite at that stage yet, but eventually we're going to hit that stage where Serral's just going to want to throw units at this position until eventually Cure is unable to defend. Can no longer handle it until he snaps.
We're getting to that point. Again, it's just very, very late game oriented. Serral, he's thinking very, very far ahead here. Cure still attempting to take the gold now. He's floating on over. The gold has been in control of Serral for quite some time. We actually haven't seen how many patches are left at the gold base in quite some time as we're yoinking the Vipers, we're yoinking the Vikings.
Yeah, good pickups here for Serral. Not that many gold patches remaining just yet, but we're starting to get there.
Yeah, we're getting to that point.
Yeah, we're getting to that point because of this lack of anti-air here for Serral. Cure is just able to park his base over here for vision.
True. Cure essentially has his own Overlord parked over that expansion. Meanwhile, Serral taking another one of Cure's bases on the right-hand side. We'll see if he can get away with it. As for now, Cure's attention is in the bottom left. Liberation zones have arrived. We have some freedom coming in, and Serral has that much more onus to get ready for that Spire transition for the crew upers.
Indeed, we do. Slowly sieging forward here as Cure. Vikings eventually get cleaned out, but are doing a really good job of zoning away the Vipers from this main army. Serral now trying to dip in with his swarm, but not quite able to break this position.
Not quite, as Serral, he takes down tank after tank. Again, the battles have been so on point here for Serral as Cure attempts to step on forward. The blinding clouds are thrown down. Serral once again going to be committing, and he shuts down all 3 tanks.
Like so, goes to the back line, doing such a good job of sniping the ultras behind that. But the front line has been broken. Cure needs to move forward with the back line.
Yeah, his tanks are leapfrogging forward as we speak, and he's gaining ground. Ooh, we do have Biles connecting with the Medivacs. We have 38 more links on the way. Cure, he's encroaching upon the goal base. We can see how spread thin he is, and if he does overextend, then Serral can collapse on this with the now abundance of link bane we're trapped.
Yeah, not only that, but we're actually starting to run out of minerals in that gold base.
Yeah, the longer this goes on, the less value that goal base has for Cure to even expand to. Blinding Cloud, Power Bomb's going to be thrown down. Another Night Swarm does finish, so we're saturating the base on the right-hand side. And Lings, they just collapse here on those tanks. They're so exposed.
There's nowhere near enough of a buffer here for Cure, which he's maxed out. But most of his army just wasn't in position to deal with that.
Yeah, exactly. They were still in the production, still on the way. Liberator going to be harassing across the map. Does get 10 drone kills. Very nice damage dealt there by Cure. But that was, what, like 5 tanks going down for Lings? Like, that was such an efficient trade here for Serral. You can see the massive bank that Serral has accumulated. I would love to see a second Spire. I do think that Serral, he's still on 1 Spire production, so he's only making 1 upgrade at a time. That's kind of the biggest thing here for Serral, is getting ready for the eventual tech switch. But other than that, he's still doing beautifully. Is still on top of Cure.
Yeah, right on top of him. Blinding Cloud's gonna land once again. Cure, understandably, being very conservative with those ghosts, but he needs to get him a little bit closer to the front line. He needs to start EMPing these Vipers.
Yeah, the Vipers have just gained so much value. Second Liberator falls here to the Biles. Nice pickups from Serral. Vikings doing what they can. Ghosts do push forward, but where is the backbone to this army? We lost so many tanks, and now these Ghosts looking very exposed. We have to be so careful with them.
Yeah, you can try to hot pick up a couple of them, but not all of them. Cure no longer max and struggling a lot to establish more of an income and a bank for himself.
I think it just gave up in the gold. I think he just realized, I don't know if he saw there's only 3 patches left. There's 3 mineral patches left at the gold base, and you can see Cure rallying away, and it looks like it may just be worth to rotate over towards the right-hand side. Yeah, we're just sending everything over to the right instead. Cure, he knows that like the gold, it's a lost cause at this point.
Very much is, yeah. He's gonna show up at the end of the gold rush, and it's just no gold. Just dirt and rocks.
Smooch.
Big smooch, yeah. So now this base all of a sudden is much more important. Viper goes down. The one Blinding Cloud gonna land, but it seems like it may just be enough here for Serral to break on through. Ghosts unable to land their snipes, but now they do. And that was the first efficient trade in a very long time here for Cure.
Yeah, that was a big overextension from Serral. He pushed into a concave into a line of tanks, so very nice defense from Cure. And that means we can finally knock down a hatchery. This base is going to be falling. Serral was mining from this hatchery, but honestly not for too long. He did delay expanding to this base for quite some time, so Cure has a relatively fresh mining base.
Yeah, relatively.
Yeah.
As, you know, it's not super fresh, but it's better than that 4th base that he's taken earlier on.
It really...
Or the 5th base.
Yeah, it is. So we do have a fresh mining base here for Cure. Meanwhile, Serral, he has to back off. He's trying to find some holes in the defense of Cure. He catches a turret, potentially a tank as well. So not quite as tank does escape, but yeah, some decent pickoffs here.
Yeah, I was hoping to get into the production of Cure, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, actually might still be able to pull that off. Not for long.
Yeah, I mean, we got 3 tanks. 3 tanks go down for Ling, so a very nice trade for Serral. At the same time, more tanks going down there. Let's expose 2 more tanks.
The tanks are exposed with Sword of the Ultras. Good snipes come down, but they don't kill the Ultras.
Yeah, the Ultras, they do barely get away. Meanwhile, Serral now finally working on +2 armor here for those Corruptors. We have Neural on the way for for Infestors as well. So we're getting ready for that, again, Broodlord Infestor transition. But at the same time, so is Cure. As Cure, he's already making 3 Thors at a time. He's already getting some anti-air ready.
He is... Yeah, he is. I have to see how effective that anti-air is going to be, though, as... we all know the Ballad of the Broodlords, or the Ballad of the Thor fighting the Broodlords. It's getting kind of stuck. All the Brootlings being thrown in. Cure, we're at the stage now where Serral as well, actually. We're at the stage where both players were so late into the game when we have so few mineral patches remaining that they're just looking to get rid of as many workers as they can. Cure can't afford to throw away more of them, as, you know, obviously he has mules available. He's got a lot of orbital commands.
Yeah, that's going to be the next big step here for Cure. As Cure has been refining his army, you can see how oversaturated he is. Like, honestly, we can throw away some SCVs. Like, at this point, it may just be worth throwing away SCVs so Cure can go for a Supermax army instead. That's going to be what he needs to work towards here. And Cure, with that Fusion Core, we'll be working towards Lib Range. We could even opt to go into BC production. Like, that's going to be a viable option here for Cure.
Yeah, not a terrible option either. Specifically when you're up against a ground-based army like this, and if you're anticipating Broodlord specifically from your Zerg opponent. It's a very expensive way to tech at this stage of the game, though, to be fair to Cure.
It is, as Cure is exposed here towards the south, not much in position, so the Liberator goes down. The tank as well, we're going for the Planetary. Thankfully, there's not much left to preserve, as the base is mainly mined out, but it looks like the base will fall at the same time. Cure taking out top right.
Yeah, looking to trade a base for a base. I'm honestly surprised at how long this orbital command has, Planetary Fortress has held. Bought a lot of time for those ghosts to get into position, but now it finally falls, and a lot of SCVs as well. But again, we're at a stage where maybe it's worth it for Cure to have lost those 18 SCVs.
Oh yeah. I feel like the SCV losses are better here for Cure. He does immediately retake that base as an orbital, so he can lift it. It does mean that it's a little bit more exposed though, as Cure at least denies the fresh mining base, or the most important mining base here of Serral. Sorry, I say important base. Remember, Serral, he actually denied or delayed mining from the center northern base for as long as possible, so I believe it's still quite fresh.
I believe so. I'm trying to look at the mini-map here, but all I see is a whole bunch of red.
It's hard to tell how much is left there for Serral as he's working on 3-3. Viper's coming in, we do snipe a Liberator, but Cure now has another mining base. The reality is that we are actually soon to run out of resources on the map. There's not that much mining left here for both players.
That there is not. Serral's got a massive bank though.
Oh.
So it's looking like we're going to get into the late game better here for Serral. Oh?
Yes, he does head towards the south. The observer was just pointing out that Serral actually still has minerals in his natural, which is crazy, but it also shows that Serral, he again, pulled away from the closer bases earlier on, intentionally so, and is even long distance mining from the bases of Cure towards the south. Yeah,
anything you can do to just steal a couple more minerals and just make sure that they don't get into hands of Cure. You know, those, what, 50-ish, 5 minerals per turn if the drones just keep on mining cycles and cycles. That's what's going to be like 250 minerals. That 250 minerals, you know, that could be 1, 2, 3, 5 Marines. That could be Hellbats. That could be a siege tank. And, you know, it adds up.
It does. It does add up over time. Now, speaking of adding up, Infestors now on the way. 3-3 on the way for Serral when it comes to his air army. So he's also getting ready for that uber late game. We have a Corruptors now hitting the field. We're ready for that Broodlord switch. It should be on the horizon soon as we do end up getting sniped. So nice pickoffs here from Cure.
Ooh.
Oh.
We do get an EMP and a snipe as well on those Vipers, so nicely done here from Cure.
Does snipe a Viper here or there. We do get eyes on the long distance mining drones, and Cure does rotate over as well, so Cure is going to be able to take control of this area here, able to shut down the drones, and able to eventually mine from this base once again.
Does he want to? Sage, I mean, I guess he doesn't really have a choice. He kind of has to, right?
Oh, here come the brutes!
And the Brute Lords are on the way, 9 of them. Gonna be slowly making their way down, gonna be flapping their wings and getting around top of the entrenched position of Cure.
Oh yeah, exactly. So this is the final form for Serral. It is going to be Broodlord Infestor with some Lingbane Ultra to maneuver around the map and to harass. So a very potent force here for Serral. At the same time, Cure is super maxed. He does have a much larger army supply to work with. He does have a much more efficient army by default as well, with Ghost, with Liberator, with Tank, with Viking, with Thor. So these fights could go either way. It just all comes down to the control. It comes down to the micro, to the positioning, the engagements.
Yeah, positioning's going to be key here, which is what worries me here a bit for Cure, as his army is spread out a little thin.
His army is
Let's get
spread
eyes
out.
on those infestors, though, at the very least.
Likewise, Serral has a bank to remax, but again, he should be remaxing here again. Cure should be taking a more efficient trade. Snipe's going to be going off. One Broodlord does go down. Cure is still working on those upgrades, though. Liberator range still not quite done.
Yeah, I just noticed that. Should have been researched a while ago, but yeah, what can you do? He will at least get it now and make it a little bit more difficult for these Corruptors and these Vipers to get on top of the libs.
Yeah, meanwhile, 6 more Broodlords on the way for Serral, getting into massive Broodlord. We're fighting for control of this Naga. Cure rotates over towards the right-hand side. These Broodlords have to be so careful not to overextend. They are so vulnerable here to the Vikings or to the army of Cure.
Indeed, they are. These Infestors are everything right now for Serral. If they can root an army into position and prevent them from kiting back or even getting on top of these Root Lords, then he should have a much easier time just dealing with this massive Terran army.
Exactly.
I was going to say, I also really like the pre-split that he had there with those Infestors. Make it a little bit that much more difficult for EMPs to really land on them.
Did love to see it. Meanwhile, the army out of position. The Planetary is going to be going down. Cure, he may have strategically just decided to give up on that base, as we already mined through all the minerals, but there was still gas available there. So that is going to be gas that Serral can now take away from Cure, as Cure rotates over, and it looks like he is, more concerned about expanding and taking this southern base.
Yeah, Cure's just been playing like a nomad this game. If we can't mine south, if we can't settle down south, then we'll go up north. If we can't settle up north, we'll go back down south.
Yeah, and he does force a big rotation here from Serral. Now, what's important is that this area is much easier to engage in because it's more wide open. Towards the north, there was a big choke point. I say big, sorry, a narrow choke point that can be really brutal to try to push into. Here, there's a little more ground and there's a lot more maneuverability here for both players.
Yeah, which ordinarily would favor Zerg, but there's still a lot of options here with the SimCity and whatnot for Serral to take advantage of.
Yeah, as we do see some Thor shots going off. Clutch Transfuse does keep the Broodlords alive for the time being. One tank almost goes down, and it should barely get picked off.
Like so, yeah. It's the power of the Broodlords at this stage when you don't really have enough anti-air to keep them at bay. You're going to be forcing a lot of friendly fire out here from the Terran player.
Yeah, friendly fire is forced out. We do see Cure rotating around. Remember, the gold base, there's no mining left there. There's no economy whatsoever. It's just used for larva. So Cure, there's no need to actually head in that direction. He's just posturing against the main army with his mech force. Again, it's just mech Ghost, just mass tank, Thor Ghost. It's a very efficient army. We're just looking to try to catch the army off guard if at any moment. It looks like we will pick off some of these smoke rollers.
Yeah. Yeah, if this army ever gets caught on siege, that's going to be the end of Cure, and this might just about be it. Ghost not here to EMP those Infestors, but it looks like the Terran backbone is strong nonetheless. Decent EMP. But there's still plenty of energy where that came from.
Yeah, nice fungal there. I believe 3 or 4 ghosts did go down, so Cure does bleed out some of his ghosts here to the Broodlords, so not a bad fungal from Serral. At the same time, as you mentioned, we did at least force back the line of Spore Crawlers. Cure is gaining ground, but it isn't just about gaining ground, it's about pushing forward and taking a big fight as quickly as possible, just because if we go for a more longer trade, Serral can remax.
And Serral has remaxed. As a matter of fact, making a whole bunch more Lings. Those Infestors is going to continue to gain energy behind this. Ghosts just trying to pick off whatever they can, which is not that much right now.
Yeah, Changelings are denied. The Creepers are seeding. Meanwhile, the Broodlords push forward. One Ultra gets sniped immediately. Broodlords, they go for the Thors. One Thor goes down. The Liberators are coming in.
Urzu come in. The EMP is alright, but there's still plenty more Infestors in the back line. A lot of anti-air, and here come the not the Transfuse, the Neurals.
Yeah, the Neurals run out. The tanks, they take down every single Infestor as well. A very good trade for Cure. He forces back the army, shut down the Infestors, shut down the ground force of Serral. We spoke about it. Serral is remaxing. We have 10 Ultras on the way. We knew that Cure would win the first fight, but it was about how much was left over after the first win.
And the answer to that is not enough. Nowhere near enough to keep this push going and to just take victory from then on. Cure retreats back home, and he doesn't have an economy to speak of.
Yeah.
He cannot remax, whereas Serral has already remaxed and can continue to remax 2 or 3 more times after this.
Exactly, we spoke about it. If we had a more decisive fight, then Cure could keep pushing and go for the kill. As we see here, Cure did not have enough to keep on that aggression, so he has to back off. Serral is remaxed. Serral is ready to claim this. Still has a bank to work with. Not the largest bank, but a bank nonetheless. And Cure, he has to pull back. He has to take a defensive stance instead.
Indeed, he does. Season snipes on the Broodlords, but it looks like there's just way too much Zerg. Serral, I was gonna say Serral might not be able to break through this, but he's already reset the army, so second wave can do it. But no, he's just gonna win with the first wave. GG is called. Serral going to be taking game number 1 here in his match against Cure, which means that Basilisk plus ShoWTimE, big Basilisk if you will be taking this series.
GG, well played. Congratulations here. Congratulations to Serral and to Basilisk for taking the series, for taking down a Cure. We mentioned it before, but alas, we only needed one. We only needed one win here for Serral to claim victory. He has done it. He's gotten his 1 win. And now Cure is going to be fighting for map score. He's going to be fighting for some additional bonus prize money, as well as his own elo.
Yeah, his own elo that will impact seeding in some of the later individual leagues that SC Boy does organize. But yeah, GG, very nicely done here from Serral. I want to praise Cure a little bit because I was honestly I was highly doubtful. I was doubting Cure quite a bit. Once I saw that he was starting to turtle up, I thought, there's no way. There is absolutely no Terran player in this planet who can really tango with Serral in the late game, except for maybe sometimes Maru. But Cure, he was dancing, he was sticking in tune for quite a while. It's just kind of unfortunate that Serral is obviously, I think, from just looking at this one game, much more experienced in late game CVT, so he knew all the contingencies, he knew how to set up a safety net for himself as the game continued, whereas Cure, I was really only banking on one push, which wasn't quite able to do. Anyway, we get in game 2. Ghost River, top left-hand corner, blue Terra player, 14 liquid, Cure.
And in the top right, we do have Serral for Basilisk. And yeah, just touching on what you were alluding to, Serral, he has arguably the best late game ZVT in the world. Specifically, what he's really good at is identifying when and where he can take those fringe bases and again, take those resources away from Cure. That was such a big factor. That is the reason why Serral had such a large bank to work with, is because ahead of time he was so prepared to just gather those resources, to take them away from the Terran and to just be as efficient as possible with his with his mining, with his economy.
Yeah, I mean, you can just imagine everything else staying the same in that game, except Serral mined in a normal mining pattern. Instead of prioritizing those outer bases, went for his own 5th, his own 6th, his own 7th. We might still be in that game. I think we probably would still be in Golden Aura if that was the case. But Serral, he's well practiced, he's well versed in late game ZVT, so he knew exactly how to give himself every advantage before the fight even began.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was very nicely done. Meanwhile, very quickly, a shout out to a couple of people in the chat. A shout out to Steel Mold, as he did resubscribe earlier for 67 months in a row. Gracias, Papi, gracias. Thank you so much, Steel Mold. Likewise, a shout out to Holy Lime 23 as well for resubscribing with Twitch Prime for 17 months. Thank you so much.
Gracias, Papi. Quack.
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 Thank you. Cutting that up there. Well, thank you so much for the support. We do appreciate it here. Hope you all enjoyed the content, the casting, and of course the broadcast here as we're getting into the rest of the series. We already spoke about it. There will not be an ace match. BASILISK have already taken it, but of course Kira can still put a point on the board. An extra point on the board for his team, for Team Liquid, can be quite important when it comes to distinguishing their team amongst the rest when it comes to the later rounds and the playoffs.
Indeed.
We're making a lot of links.
Yeah, sometimes it's we are making a lot of links. Cure wanted to avoid the late game, so he chose Ghost River. Serral looked at the map, and said, "Okay, if that's how you want to play it, that's how we'll play it."
Yeah, Serral's making, he's still making more links. Okay, he's joining. So he did make an abundance of links, and they are spotted by Cure. Thankfully, he is aware somewhat of some links that are active on the map. Link speed is soon about to finish in 10 seconds, and the goal of this opener here for Serral is to catch the Reaper, get across the map, and get some economic damage done.
Yeah. Ideally, you'd be trying to delay the natural as well, which we kind of are. Forces the lift off. Cure not able to produce SCVs, not able to make use of that energy.
Yeah.
Fly Depot going to go down, which once again going to delay a lot of this build.
And thankfully, because Cure saw this ahead of time, I don't know if you noticed, but he did evacuate. He evacuated the natural. He was able to lift up the depot as well, so he did preserve his SCVs, except for the one that was building the depot. So really nice defense here out of Cure. He does minimize his losses, but he is contained on one base. And from here, now Serral can drone.
He knows he has full-on map control, grabbing that third base. And now he's just getting his economy up and running. Roachhorn going to be on the way, which, on the one hand, could indicate that he's planning to do something similar to game number 1. You know, use those roaches as more of an elastic defense, as more of a way to be active on the map. But on the other hand, we're on Ghost River. This is a map that lends itself brilliantly to roach pushes.
Oh yeah, exactly. The Roach Warren, it's almost done, and Serral, especially because his team has already won the series, he may just be looking to end this earlier. I mean, I wouldn't blame him, especially after a 30-minute game. Like, we spent a lot of time on Golden Aura.
Yeah, especially after a 30-minute game, especially on a day where he does have leave from military duty.
Yeah, I'm sure he wants to make the most of it. What does that mean? That means he wants a ladder, Poppy. He wants
Exactly. He wants to walk his dog.
True. So we'll see how we do, as the Viking does catch an Overlord in the center of the map. Ling's getting caught out as well, so not bad moments here for Cure, but Roach production has begun. We can see, though, that it looks like Serral is only making a safety amount of roaches. 3 roaches on the way. Serral is droning, so Serral is not going for a roach timing, is macroing up instead.
Yeah. Looks like we are setting up for a bit of a repeat of game number 1. Potentially, as my eyes once again are going to be more on Cure in this game. He is opting for Banshees this time instead of Liberators or anything like that. But eventually I think we're going to head towards the mid-game direction that all Terran mid-game, or most Terran builds tend to lead to, which is a 1-1 timing.
Yeah, exactly. As the double E-bays have been thrown down, so we're getting ready for those upgrades as you did mention. Likewise, we also have Banshee production well underway, so we'll see if Kira can get some economic damage done across the map as he's being active with his Hellions and soon Banshees as well.
Yeah. Slowly but surely we are setting ourselves up for... Oh!
Now, apparently we misspelt around as Ryung.
Yeah, it's Ryung 7, but we didn't misspell anything. It's true.
The
it's 7th
true.
Ryung.
I'll fix it. There we go.
No, there's nothing to fix. There's nothing to fix. There is absolutely nothing to fix. We do mean Ryung.
Yeah.
We mean 7 cans of Dongwon tuna.
Oh, let's go, Poppy. Let's go. As the Banshees, they do get across the map, going to be clearing up some creep, headed towards the natural base as well. And so far, Serral, he should be able to respond. Yeah, the Spore Crawlers do finish up in time. The Queens, they get in position, and the Banshees are going to be deflected.
Yeah, not quite going to get any economic damage as of yet. And Serral, content with his map control, going to be grabbing his own tech, going to be grabbing a Hydroden, going to be getting Hive already. No, yeah, Hive already. I had to do a bit of a double check because I'm like, there's no way he's getting Hive this quickly, right? But then I remembered, wait a minute, but you need Lair to get a Hydroden, so yeah, that's an 8-minute Hive coming up from Serral once again.
Yeah, there we go. Very fast Hive tech there from Serral. Meanwhile, we do have Cure going for his own drop play. It does go for the double drop in towards that natural base. Does deny mining at the gas geyser. Is going to be able to focus on the first gas at least. But the Roaches are in position. The Roaches do reveal themselves, and Serral will minimize any further losses.
Like so. Which is a little bit worrisome here for Cure, because if there was ever a time for drops to get damage done, I feel like now would be it. Serral is what... As you said, Serral is in the middle of his transition right now. His Hive just finished up, his Lurker Den is about to finish as well, so yeah, that was probably when Serral was going to be at his most vulnerable in this game.
Oh yeah, exactly. As we do see Cure just building up and getting ready for his move out. 4th base is on the way. Meanwhile, Serral, he's got the Lunkers, Puppy. He's got Hydra Lurker Viper amassing as we speak. Now, pushing into these siege lines is going to be difficult. Honestly, we could be in for another long one. This map, as aggressive as it can be, it's a map of extremes. We can be either hyper aggressive or hyper late game, because it is very easy to cut this map in half.
Like so. I'm saying like so, but Cure hasn't split the map in half just yet.
Yeah, and actually, now this makes sense to me if Cure, because this was Cure's map pick, of course, right? And if Cure was expecting this to go to the late game, then it makes sense for us to go for a Ghost River, because it is so much more difficult for Serral to take the base of Cure. He's trying. You can see cheeky expansions out of Serral, taking a base on Cure's half of the map, but you can see it's going to be so much more difficult to actually defend that position, defend that base.
Yeah, the bases towards the middle of the map are a lot more isolated, a bit more exposed, and in general, the bases tend to be a lot more compact and close together, so it's just going to be that much more difficult for Serral to take bases that Cure should be taking.
Yeah, I'm going to be very impressed if Serral can actually mine from that southern base. Not this one, but the one on the left-hand side. Like, it's going to be wild if he pulls that off. As Cure is marauding around with his drop play, he has yet to actually scout. So far, that base is hidden. Cure has no idea. He is harassing on the right-hand side. Otherwise, if he knew about the base, he would just shut it down.
They're going to take each other's southern base.
Let's go.
Equivalent exchange as setting up for a lurker drop.
Here we go. As there we go, the Lurker drop towards the natural. At the same time, Cure doesn't eye the southern hatcheries, but is he in position? The drops are coming in.
Drops are coming in. The Marines will miss it, though.
They do miss the drop of lures. They do burrow in the mineral line. Boys do be pulled away. But the tanks are toys. Oh, the tanks, they go down.
That they do. SimCity working against Cure's favor here. And you know what? Now the Lunkers are stuck.
Yeah, Lunkers, there's no way out unless we throw down a Nidus Swarm that can help them break free. Overseer diving in is going to be shut down as well. At the same time, Serral does get away with that ninja base. It is getting up and running, and he does Maynard over. Does saturate it immediately.
Dang. Yeah, I'm impressed.
He's getting away with it. Like, now we
to
see with the
fortify
scan,
it.
but this is
Yeah.
a late scat from Cure.
Very, very late. And now we're starting to fortify it. Serral's starting to fortify it with lurkers.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy at all to push into this base.
Exactly. The Lunkers are in position at the same time. Serral pushing in towards the third base of Cure, forcing him to respond, forcing him to react. We do yoink another tank. Power bump here on the Vikings, and Serral, all he's really doing here is trading, is containing, is keeping Cure busy while Serral takes his money away from him.
Slowly but surely. Well, I say slowly, but actually quite rapidly with the rate he's mining.
Exactly, a wild move here from Serral, but it is paying off. Again, Cure just didn't have the wherewithal to check that location. At the same time, Serral rotating over, catching Marines, denying another CC. Lurkers do get in position, and Serral is going to be able to rebuild and remax, working towards 3-3. 6 more Lurkers on the way.
Werewolf?
Werewolf?
Well, Secure wasn't a...
Didn't have the wherewithal.
That's a
Wherewithal to check? Yeah.
Huh.
Did you say werewolf?
GIL. That's what I thought you said.
He doesn't have a werewolf either. True. Doesn't have one.
Yeah.
The wherewithal, like the foresight, the knowledge.
Ah, I see.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah, we do see Cure once again setting things up to, once again, just have a little bit of a repeat of game number 1, just trying to set himself up as much as possible on these 5 bases. He's heavily reliant on scans to deal with these lurkers, but honestly, he just doesn't really have that much orbital command energy to work with.
Yeah, scans are limited. The drop into the natural is going to be denied. Very nice positioning with the Viking at least, but the yoinks are brutal. Tanks are still going down, and Serral still somehow maintains that southern base, still somehow is taking advantage of it. And that's just such a big factor here in the ZVT. I'll be honest, I didn't think that we would see this kind of game state here on Ghost River. It was just such a wild play from Serral, but it's paying off so well for him.
Yeah, I mean, we're not supposed to, normally.
Yeah, you're not supposed to take that base.
Illegal.
It's not supposed to. It is illegal. 100%. It's crazy.
But you know what? Where we're going, we don't need the law. A couple more yoinks do get thrown down. A couple of ghosts do get picked off.
Well, Serral's the law, I should say.
I am the law. Okay, don't know what a Finnish accent's like.
He's Stallone. Is the Finnish
He is.
Stallone? Yeah.
He's Rocky.
He is.
He's Rambo. No, wait, that's Lambo. Anyway, ghost gonna get picked off.
Adrian. We are going to be going for some work harass on the left hand side. Gets into the middle line at the same time. Serral still just containing his opponent, denying more bases, taking another one of Cure's bases. He's crazy. He gets it.
Get away with it, yeah. He betrayed the law.
Did. That's easy. Everyone asks how withal, no one asks where withal. True. Smooch. Everyone asks werewolf, no one asks how wolf. Oh, Smooch.
Smooch. Last I checked, Wolf is doing pretty good.
True.
Married. He's living life in Korea.
No, yeah, there was like an update recently and something happened. What happened?
Yeah. I wasn't keeping up.
Okay.
Something happened with Wolf.
Something happened. I don't know. He's doing good though. He's doing good.
Yeah. It's a good something.
Yeah, there you go.
Roach is coming in to be sacrificed here from Serral. Obviously wanting to clear up some supply, but also opening up another attack path here. She's going to force Cure to once again stay on his toes and spread out his army.
Yeah, as the roaches do hit across the map. Now, you may be seeing this and maybe thinking, ooh, did we just throw away a bunch of roaches? We did, but we wanted to. Again, we don't want these roaches. Like, we want to refine our army here with some more hydras, more lurkers.
We didn't throw away the roaches, we recycled them.
We did.
From those roaches, now we're getting 6 more Hydras, 34 more Lings. It's a good trade.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's like we're sending you out to be recycled.
Exactly.
We're not throwing you away.
Exactly.
Ah.
Grandpa.
Oh my god. What? Excuse me?
Think of it in a positive way.
Aye. As we are going to just be settling on in. Serral maintaining himself. I mean, Cure has a decent mineral bank. I'm impressed with that at least. But, a Lurker does slip in behind the mineral line. Wreaking Havoc getting 9 SCV kills. At the same time, Serral getting in position. Once again, maintaining his foothold on top of this ramp. The tanks are on siege. Can we try to collapse on this? We're going for it.
Yeah, I'm going to try to collapse on top of all this. Serral, he's got a bank. He's built up a massive economy. And he's feeling pretty confident that even if he's not able to take out Cure, he absolutely will with the Remax.
Yeah, 20 SCVs go down. We caught Cure unsieged out of the open on the low ground. A massive engagement there by Serral. And with that, he's going to be able to Remax. And Cure, he's vulnerable. Cure is in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, he needs time. He needs a lot more time to start rebuilding his army and getting into position. And Serral, he's already got time. He's not giving him that time.
It's true. He has a...
I got a borrowed Infestor to keep tabs on him.
He does, and he's ready for the fungal. He's getting ready for that fungal growth. Likewise, Vipers are full of energy as well. We're collapsing in.
I don't think he even needs a fungal.
He does.
As, yeah, we're going to collapse on top of all of this. Army supply is looking pretty even, but a lot of Cure's army supply just isn't in position, and either isn't in position or can't actually fight.
Yeah, as we cut the tank count almost, or even further in half, as we barely have any tanks left to work with here for Cure. Serral once again remaxing. Serral has the bank to work with. Needs some time to rebuild though, so his center base is going to be quite a bit exposed and does have to pull away. Cure finally getting a handle on this hatchery. A little bit.
About damn time, yeah. Meanwhile, this one Lurker in the 4th base location, constantly just pulling Cure back, constantly forcing out more scans.
Well, did the Infestor finally go down?
It did. It died to friendly fire. Or not friendly fire, but... I don't think it was intentionally targeted. Yeah, splash damage.
Yeah. The Infestor finally went down, but alas, we can shut down the tanks once again. We actually don't have that many Lings left over. Serral has to calm things down a little bit here. It looks like Serral didn't have a lot of larva to work with, so he wasn't able to remax. He has a bank, but he doesn't have the production capability here to quite rebuild in time.
That he did not. And that's giving Cure a lot of breathing room over here. It's giving him a lot of an opportunity to reestablish himself, take out these bases, and just settle down his own CCs.
Yeah, so we do have a moment here for Cure to attempt to stabilize. As I say that, Serral's now remaxed. He has remaxed and he's getting ready to push in once again. Serral has to be careful not to be too premature though, as the Lurkers aren't quite ready. Neither are the Vipers, so Serral has to calm down, just kind of wait for the opportune moment to pounce on in from multiple angles. Doesn't want to come in just from one. The tanks can gain so much value because of that, as Lingbane is being shaved off.
Slowly but surely, but that's a lot of Lurkers. Ghosts, you're in position, but you're not able to take them out.
Oh my
Serral notices the hesitation, notices that Cure isn't paying attention here, and just goes in with a massive volley. GG is called. Serral gonna take that series 2-0, furthering the win and the lead that Basilisk plus ShoWTimE will have moving forward against Team Liquid.
GG, well played. A very impressive game there by Serral. Honestly, I was more impressed with game 2 than with game 1. Like game 1 felt like the Serral that we know and love, like where he's like, dominant in the late game and he takes your bases and he just contains you and just outproduces you and just has a superior economy. But here in game 2, what Serral did is something that you shouldn't be able to do on Ghost River. Like, we spoke about it, but it was so risky for Serral to triple expand. If you remember, he took all 3 southern bases, and 2 of them were denied, but that base on the left-hand side did get up and running, and Cure didn't know. He didn't scout it. He didn't know.
You know?
He, again, had no idea that it was being taken.
I know no reason for him to suspect it.
Yeah, and once that base got up and running, then suddenly that became an anchor point for Serral, and suddenly Serral was in control of the game, and Cure just couldn't punish it at all. He tried desperately, but that's when we had the lurker drop into the natural. That's when we were pushing into the third. Like, Serral was doing everything he could to just keep Cure busy, and once that base got up and running, like, Serral just had so much momentum. That was very impressive. Very impressive.
Very, very impressive. Cure, he fought back as much as he could, I think, especially when we got into that mid game when he was able to finally take out that base. But from then on, Serral just already was building up such a massive advantage in terms of his bank and in terms of his tech that really it was just a matter of Serral remaxing and going in for round 2.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It was just about round number 2. And with that, GG, well played. BASILISK does take it in the end, 5-1 over Team Liquid, and we're going to be going on a short break. When we return, we will have our second series of the night. We'll have Twisted Fairy versus Psystorm Na'Vi.
Yeah, the match between the creative logo versus the not creative logo.
True. We'll see you guys soon.